1. This is about a coworker. One that I've been frustrated with for some time, Mitch. Ever since we hired him, he's been an issue. He took extra long to train despite having hospitality experience, and even months after, he still has to rely heavily on others. Since he started working solo, I was always the one to relieve him. So, 2 days out of the week, I'd expect to have to cash out for him, since he was always confused. Generally, I'd come in and see unsorted bills scattered all over the desk as he's trying to count his final drop, followed by him saying, "I just don't get it. This isn't right." Meaning he was absolutely over or short. Now, I'm the auditor, and on top of that, I have worked at many locations for several years, and have seen almost every mistake that can be made. I'm used to being relied on for finding the cause of a screw-up, but this guy had one every shift he worked. I'd end up counting the money for him, checking the records to find where things went wrong, then correcting the issue before having to repeat the correct drop amount to him. He takes frequent smoke breaks that last for 10 minutes or more, and not for cigarettes. The staff is half stoners, including the boss man, but there's a problem when you can't work while baked. Mitch cannot work well while baked, but he thinks otherwise. I'd expect something like that out of someone my age, mid-20s, but not someone easily 50 years old. Last night, he really got to me. Same issue as before. He was short by over $100 and I had to fix it. On top of that, this old couple was desperately trying to check in, but he'd cut off their check-in to cash out rather than finishing it. They need an AARP card, but didn't have one, and Mitch didn't bother to try to help them maneuver around the issue, instead opting to basically say, "Sorry, you're shit out of luck." They were angry and tired, so I had to do what I've got a knack for. I had to play damage control. After explaining that the system was struggling to retain AARP information, I confirmed with the woman the price she was quoted. Then I helped her unlock her card, which her bank had locked due to out-of-state purchases. I let her know I'd have them checked in momentarily, and went to manually adjust the rate without the AARP discount, only to find that the 60+ was actually cheaper. So I made sure she knew I was giving her a refund so she had a better discount. I made her super happy. So by the time I was handing over the keys, she was in a way better mood. Mitch hadn't bothered to try anything close to changing the rate to bypass the AARP card requirement, interrupted their check-in by closing, and kept trying to shoo them away while we were figuring out his cash problem. I got fed up and had to help them out. He had been super disrespectful for that. Mitch acted like it was all their fault. He wasn't even using the correct reservation. He had made a different one. At that point, I focused on getting the line of customers dealt with, before helping him because he had been making them wait so long. Shift change shouldn't take longer than 20 minutes, but with him... yeah. 2. So this lady comes to check in the other day, and I pulled up her reservation. I see a note to go back to the managers to talk to them before I check her in. I excuse myself to go talk to them. Manager says this lady had called earlier, wanting to be near her friends, and near an elevator, and we were unable to accommodate that request at the time. But we've had some cancellations, so we could do that for her now if she doesn't mind switching room types. I go out and explain to her that we can get her on the same floor as her friends if she doesn't mind switching rooms. I explain to her the difference in room types, and explain that if she wants to keep the room type she has, then she will not be close to an elevator. I also let her know that she will be on the opposite end from her friends, but it's the same floor and it's our shortest floor. I show her on the building map where the room is and make sure to remind her again what the differences in rooms are. While I'm doing this, she's booked in a king room, but I accidentally say 2 queens. This is relevant later. She stops me with a hand up and says, "Wait, 2 queens? It's supposed to be a king." I say, "Oh, yes, I'm sorry, ma'am. It does look like we have you in a 1 king room, and the room you'd be switching to would be a king too." She says, "Oh, good," and we move on. So I check her into the new room type and I go to break. When I come back, I've literally not even signed back in from break before my coworker comes to me with the name on paper and says, "Hey, didn't you check her in?" She has a very recognizable last name, so I say, "Yeah, why?" My coworker says, "I saw you showing her where the room is and stuff, and heard her say it was fine. But she just called back to say that her room is much too far from an elevator, and that she's super far from her friends." Her room is literally 2 doors away from the elevator, and I had told her that she wouldn't be close to her friends, but that the same floor was the closest we could get her. I told my coworker that I had told her all the data possible, and my coworker laughed and agreed that she heard me say all of this to this woman. Then my coworker says, "And she's ticked because it's not a 2-queen room." What? I'm honestly baffled by this, and it must have showed in my face because my coworker laughed. Apparently, the lady told her that when she originally booked the room, a king was fine, but now her plans had changed and she needed 2 queens. Like, lady, what changed between the front desk and your room? If she stayed in the room type she would have had a pull-out couch, and I explained this to her. And she still chose to change room types. How on earth did she decide on the walk to the room that she wanted literally the complete opposite of what I had told her she would have, and what she had booked? We had to inform her that we were sold out, and that she would have to make it work in that room if she wanted to be close to the elevator. She said she'd keep the room she was in. Honestly baffling. 3. I used to work front desk at a hotel, and had a guest try to talk me into switching his room to a non-pet top-floor jacuzzi suite, Oregon Coast, with his emotional support dog. I had just clocked into work when this huge Goliath of a man walks in carrying a tiny chihuahua and proceeds to tell me that since he didn't get anywhere when talking to my manager last night, he would now try with me. Okay, sir. What is it that the hotel manager refused to do for you that you think I can do for you? He proceeds to demand that I move him to a top-floor jacuzzi suite. I let him know that none of our jacuzzi rooms are pet-friendly. He blew up. He lost his mind. This giant man-baby holding this tiny chihuahua starts screaming at me but how his dog is a service dog, and he's being discriminated against, and he's going to call corporate on me and all the normal entitled asshole bullshit. Service dog? I ask to see papers and ask what service the dog provides. Goliath then says he has balance issues and he has no paperwork because it is an emotional support animal. At this point, the fact that he apparently doesn't know the difference between a service dog and an emotional support dog didn't even faze me. I'm just wondering how this tiny dog is going to survive having to help Goliath with his balance issues, or when he does become unbalanced. Somehow I manage to suck it up and hold in the laughter. I calmly let him know that a service dog is not the same as an emotional support dog. None of our jacuzzi rooms are pet-friendly, and this hotel has no elevators. Surely, as someone with balance issues, he wouldn't want to have to climb 2 flights of stairs to get to his room. He literally leans over across the counter and screams in my face, "That's why I have a support dog." I was dying inside, trying to hold in the laughter. Goliath has a tiny chihuahua for balance issues. Not to mention an emotional support dog for physical issues. He then pulls out his phone and hits record, saying he wants me on video discriminating against him and his dog. Okay. But as soon as he starts recording, he also starts hollering and screaming, and cursing a plethora of F-bombs about me discriminating against him. He's going to sue me, sue the hotel, send the video to corporate and get me fired, etc. Then he threatened to call the cops on me. I volunteered to help him out and do it for him. When I picked up the phone to do so, he promptly turned around and walked back to his room. I didn't call the cops, but about 10 minutes later I did get a call from the corporate office. Goliath apparently returned to his room to call them to complain about me, and to let them know he would be contacting his attorney about a discrimination lawsuit against myself and the company. He even let them listen to the video he took of me calmly standing behind the front desk, while he was throwing a fit about the company's own policies. The reason I was receiving this phone call? To tell me to call the police and have him trespassed from the property. I did so, and it was one of the best feelings ever to call the cops and have his entitled ass removed from the property. I made sure to stand by the window while he was being escorted out so I could smile and wave to him. It was great. 4. So this story I have is from after my wife and I started dating, and I was coming to pick her up so that we could go on a date that day. She stayed a couple of hours later to help cover someone's shift, and so it was about 10 a.m. when I strolled in through the hotel's front door to pick up my then-girlfriend. But she was not behind the desk, it was her replacement, with no sign of my girlfriend. "Good morning, are you looking for your girlfriend?" "Yes, is she still here?" A lot of the staff recognized me at this point because of how frequently I would come by to deliver her nightly caffeinated beverage and peanut butter M&Ms. "She is. Go on into the office, she's in there with her boss and some of the maids." I wander in and see my girlfriend standing behind her boss, looking at the security camera recordings. The maids are teasing her for being boring and not being very fun to watch, as their boss is fast-forwarding through the night's recordings. My girlfriend sees me and begins to explain what's going on. "Hey, apparently I threatened someone with a knife this morning." At this point, I'm noticing she's kind of flustered. What?" The boss interjects. "Corber received a call this morning from someone claiming that she had threatened them with a knife and refused to rent to them." At this point, she finds the time she was looking for. The video footage showed a man and woman walk into the hotel lobby and up to the front desk, to where my girlfriend is doing the ever-so-exciting work of finishing up the night shift duties. The woman was clearly stoned in the footage, barely able to stand on her feet. Not much happens in the footage, besides seeing them talk for a few moments, no audio. After a few moments, my girlfriend takes a small step back from the desk, and the man is getting visibly agitated. Then he slams both his hands down on the counter and leans over the desk. She steps back and seems to be trying to calm things down. The man looks like he's about to try jumping the desk, while his lady friend nearly falls over. When he stops, looks to the side, and abruptly leaves. No knife in sight. So what happened? They were looking for a room, and I told them that we were all sold out, and the few rooms we had were not clean yet. He got mad and accused me of lying, and that he knows I have rooms available. I assure him I do not, and that is when he slapped the counter just before he left. The breakfast lady came by to see what was happening. I think that is why he left. The boss looks to me. "Well, I think you're good to take her. Go get some rest and don't let this bother you." Really was not expecting to find something like that the day I proposed to her. I can tell you that much. It's been about 7 years since that day, and my wife and I still laugh about it. 5. The following is a facsimile of the work group chat after I made a discovery in the maid's room. Enjoy. "Hey, my lovelies, just a quick question. This dush kebab on the windowsill of the downstairs maid's room, is there any sane reason that this is not in the bin?" Colleague A, a 20-year-old housekeeper, says, "Are you serious?" Colleague B responds, "Oh my god, please tell me you're taking the piss." Colleague C, who is a 60-year-old housekeeper, "Do you mean the silver thing with the pink jewels on it?" Yes, I do. Who found it?" "I did in room 4. "Okay, so why wasn't it put straight in the bin?" "Hopefully with double gloves on." "Triple gloves?" "I thought the guests might want it back. It looked expensive." "I bet they do. We don't store items such as those. It's a hygiene thing." Oh, I didn't realize that extended to stuff like that. Why wouldn't it? Wait, what do you think it is? One of those deep tissue massagers, I thought. Oh my god. Deep tissue indeed. This is amazing. What is it then? Not it. I'm out of here. Gonna go die laughing. OP, you're the manager. I'm sure you can handle this one. Okay, gotta stay to hear this. I see both of you want to work Sundays for the next 6 months. Worth it? What's going on? What was that, massager? It's a personal toy. Toy? For when you're in bed? I don't understand. It's a sex toy. A sex toy? Seriously? It doesn't look like one of those. It was like a pointy light bulb. It's not a dildo. Then what? OP, care to explain? No, I'm pretty sure explaining sex toys is outside of my managerial purview. It's a butt plug. Google it. Don't Google it. Please don't Google it. Oh my goodness, that's disgusting. She Googled it. Please tell me you were wearing gloves when you moved it. Yes, thank heavens. That's just vile. Can it be thrown away now? Yes, please. Wait, don't bend it. I know I will regret this, but why? Put it in the top manager's desk drawer. Please? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, goodness, no. Really? That's just wrong. Or you could just pretend you never noticed it, pull the curtains and leave it there. So when I get in tomorrow morning, I can triple glove up and accidentally knock it into his desk drawer. You do realize his son, who works as a receptionist, has access to this chat? I'll give you all my overtime pay to put it in his lunchbox tomorrow. Genius. For fuck's sake. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 118. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do poke the like button, if you'd be so kind. Also, if you'd like to get the videos a little bit early, you can support me through Patreon for as little or as much as you like per month. You'll find the link to that in the description of the video. Is Hellfreezer. And you can also get yourself some Hellfreezer merchandise, also linked in the description. And if you'd like to, you can make donations during streams or videos just like the one you watched. This is not required, but I do appreciate it. Alright, let's see. I don't think there's any other business today, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, what was the last piece of entertainment that you purchased? You didn't watch on a streaming service, you liked it so much, you had to own a physical copy. I can answer that one very easily. Last week, I bought a copy of all 4 seasons of The Good Place on Blu-ray. And long story short, it's a show where a woman dies, she goes to the afterlife, goes to the good place, except when they tell her she's a good person, she got in, she knows that's not actually true and she shouldn't be there. And hijinks ensue, and that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who actually watches it. And it was one of the things I watched consistently on Netflix, but when they jacked the prices up last year, whenever it was, too high for me. Finally, I thought, okay, enough is enough. I'm not really watching it for anything else but Star Trek and The Good Place. And they were gradually losing Star Trek anyway. So I took out another streaming service that was cheaper that had Star Trek on it. You can probably guess which one. And I figured I'll just buy The Good Place on Blu-ray. That way it's all mine. So took me a while, but eventually I decided, okay, this week I'd done my taxes, and I decided, okay, this is the week I'm going to treat myself. And I did just that. It was a choice between that, Peacemaker, and possibly one of the seasons of The Westworld, but there's probably going to be a box set of that, and I'm still holding out hope for a 5th season. Probably futilely. So I'm holding off on that right now. So it was down to The Good Place or Peacemaker, another very enjoyable show, and The Good Place won out. I'm looking forward to, once Jack's finally living here, we can sit down together and I can share it with them, because they're one of my favorite people. It's one of my favorite shows. I want to share good things with them. Please do let me know what yours was if you're willing to share. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.